The world is a mirror. So I want to spend an episode talking about the mirror principles. And this episode is going to be a reality transurfing principles episode. So pretty much all of these principles is from the book called Reality Transurfing Steps 1 through 5 by Vadim Zeland. And it's just a compilation of notes taken straight from the book that I just want to share with you guys. So I'm just going to be reading it straight from the book in my notes. It's just a notebook. And then I'll explain on it. But the mirror principles is going to be the focus of this episode. So let's just get things right off by listing the 8 mirror principles. So Vadim Zeland has 8 mirror principles. The first one is the world, like a mirror, reflects your relationship to it. So whatever your relationship to the world, it'll reflect back. So if you believe that the world takes care of you, then the world will take care of you. If you believe the world does not take care of you, it will not take care of you. Number 2, the reflection is formed in the unity of heart and mind. So the heart and the mind are extremely essential to transurfing. Pretty much, your thoughts are constantly sending thoughts to the mirror, and then it's getting bounced back to you through your physical reality. But a lot of the times, your thoughts are just from your mind or just from your heart. And so when it's just from one of them, it's not as strong. So it's kind of like if a mirror produced a low resolution, a low quality image, low resolution. But if you unify your heart and mind, it will create a high resolution image. Number 3, there is a delay in the reaction of the dual mirror. So the world is like a mirror, but it's not like a normal mirror. So in the case of a normal mirror, you stand in front of it, and then you instantly see your reflection. Instantly. I can instantly see myself moving in the camera. But the world mirror, the mirror of the world, has a delay. So it'd be like if I moved my hand, it would take a few moments for the hand to actually show up right there. And then, but in the case of the world, it's days or months. So you send your image through your thoughts, and then you have to hold that image for a few days or months. And the reason why I say hold it is because if you had a mirror that had a delay in real life and you moved your hand but then quickly moved it down, well, then it's never going to show the image of the hand because it wasn't enough time. You have to hold it through the whole delay period, pretty much. So you have to hold your hand up there for the entire time it's delayed. And then you'll be able to see it. Number 4, the mirror states the content of the relationship and ignores the nature of the relationship. I'm not really sure what the nature of the relationship is, but I don't really know exactly what this means, but pretty much like if you repeat the amalgam, which is just an affirmation, my world takes care of me, then it will take care of you. Number 5, do not think about what you do not want. Instead, think about what you are striving to attain. This is huge because our thought energy is wasted most of the time. So think of a lamp. A lamp is just sending light in a spread out area. And then think of a laser. A laser is sending a very condensed, a very finite, it's just energy, it's light in a very condensed manner. So it goes so much further and it's so much more powerful and stronger. So when you are just normally thinking, it's just wasted. And our natural default is negativity. And so if you're thinking about negativity, if you're thinking about things you do not want, well, then you're basically radiating that thought energy, and it like pulls it towards you, and you end up experiencing more of it, since the world is like a mirror. You radiate that thought energy of what you don't want. So then you send that, and then the world just, maybe that's what the content, maybe that's what the number 4 means. The mirror states the content and ignores the nature. Maybe that's what that means. So since the content is, let's say you do not like spiders. The content is spiders, but it ignores the nature. And the nature would be like whether you like them or you don't like them. So if you say, I don't like spiders, if you just constantly think about that, then the mirror will reflect the content but ignore the nature. So it will ignore the fact that you don't like it or you do like it, and it will just straight go for the content, which is the spiders. So that's, instead of thinking about what you don't want, just think about what you're striving to attain. It's just so much better, because first of all, there's no point in thinking about something you don't want. There's no point. There's no benefit. And second of all, if you think about what you don't want, it will happen. It will actually happen. So instead, just think about what you do want, and then it will happen. Number 6, release your grip and allow the world to move with the alternatives flow. Releasing the grip of control is one of the most valuable things that I've learned out of transurfing. Because there's so many times where it's just so relieving and so alleviating to just release my grip. There's so many times where I catch myself trying to control the situation, trying to control other people, trying to take a hold of the situation and keep things how I want them to be. But if you simply just let go, release, allow it to happen, it's so freeing, especially since most of the time, it doesn't even matter what the outcome is. Like, it usually doesn't even affect you, yet you're still trying to control the situation. So just let it happen. Let go. It's so freeing. Any reflection should be perceived as positive. Anything you see in reality is a reflection. So anything that's manifested in reality is a reflection of the mirror. So sorry. I was just testing to see if I rolled my eyes by doing that, and I think I do. But anything that is reflected is manifested in reality. So every single reflection you should perceive as positive, because it's not you don't know. It's not for you to know. It's impossible to know whether it's to your benefit or to your detriment, but you can choose. You can decide to choose positive. You control reality by controlling your chain of thought. That's number 8. And that is probably the most important mirror principle out of them all. The last 3, he said, are the most important. Relax your grip, perceive as positive, and control your thoughts. Controlling your thought. When you control your thoughts, you control reality. That is one of the simplest things that I picked up on transurfing. One of the simplest things that just passes everyone by. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why is no one controlling their thoughts? Well, it's because we live in a world of pendulums, and we have been basically shaped. Our minds, our worldview, our mental outlook has been shaped in such a way to where we don't even think that we can have the ability. We don't even know that we have the ability to control reality. First of all, we lost our ability. Pendulums destroyed our ability to control reality, but we can get it back. And second of all, pendulums eradicated the very notion of the possibility that we can control reality through our thoughts. That's how dangerous and destructive pendulums are. But it just makes sense because no one controls their thoughts. But those who do are part of the 1%. Those who do get extreme success in life. Those who do control their thoughts are extremely successful. And those are the mirror principles. Now I want to go on with my normal notes. The world behaves like a mirror in which all our ideas surrounding the nature of reality are reflected. All our ideas. So if your idea of how reality is, if you have an idea, preconceived notion of how reality is, that will be reflected back. That will be reflected back. Like every single idea, not just a thought, just an idea, is reflected back. The task of transurfing is not to look into the past with regret or the future with uncertainty, but to intentionally create your own reality. All right, so transurfing is all about the present, and it's all about creating your own reality. That is what transurfing is. When I was first getting into reading it, I read the back of the book, the description, and it did not make any sense to me. He said it was a powerful technique, or I don't remember the word he said, but it was a powerful technology at creating one's own reality or controlling one's own reality. That did not make any sense to me until recently when I realized that controlling your reality, that's what transurfing is. Transurfing is all about controlling your thoughts, which in turn controls your reality. So you control your reality through controlling your thoughts. Just as you control your body by controlling your body. Like, I don't necessarily know how I'm moving my hand around right now, but I know how to control reality through controlling my thoughts. Fundamentally undermine the monolith of common sense. So, common sense was instilled in us by pendulums, and pendulums basically teach you everything that you need to know they teach you everything that they need you to know. And again, pendulums do not benefit from you being great. Pendulums do not benefit from you going your own way. They do not benefit from you achieving success, achieving greatness, all this. What they do benefit from you is being a cog in the machine, constantly feeding them energy. So it makes sense to instill a common sense worldview, common sense attitude into your mind. So now you have to topple it. You have to fundamentally undermine it, as Vadim Zeland said. And it's a monolith. It is not easy. I'm still working on it. And I feel like in 5 years, I may still be working on it. But every single day gets better and better and better. An individual's awareness of reality will be exactly what they have been taught it should be. All right, so in yesterday's episode, I talked about I forgot his name, but the author of Force versus Power and the author of the Map of Consciousness Explained. That guy created this concept called the Map of the Consciousness. And it's basically a scale of 0 through 1,000, where the low numbers, like 0 through 150, are negative emotions, like fear, anger, worry, anxiety, like those negative emotions. And then 150 onwards to 1,000 are positive emotions, like joy, happiness, enlightenment. And pretty much these are like how people fundamentally work, or this is how people kind of operate. under these emotions. So the majority of people, like the far majority of people in the world, operate under level 150. So they're around 100 to 125. So the majority of people are operating under a negative worldview, essentially. And very few make it past 150. But anyone can choose to do it. And it's actually the majority of people only improve 5 points in their entire lifetime. Entire lifetime. So they improve 5 points. 5. That's nothing. And in Dr. Hardy's book, 10x is easier than 2x, he said that, the author said, that you can actually improve hundreds of points in a short period of time, maybe a year, maybe a couple months. But you usually have to work at improving it. But the majority of people don't. And I feel like one of the biggest reasons is we're living in a world of pendulums where we're constantly being controlled by pendulums. And what Vadim Zeland said is so true. An individual's awareness of reality will be exactly what they have been taught it should be. So pendulums teach us stuff. Like my worldview was taught through the American school system. Which, by the way, the worldview that the American school system taught is terrible. It's destructive, and it's not good for you. It's not good for your overall success. That's why the majority of people go on to work a 9-to-5 job for the rest of their lives. That's not successful. That is not. So the worldview that I'm learning is transurfing, and an individual's awareness level of reality is exactly what it should be. So school and system taught me what my awareness level should be. And then I went on to change it by reading. But that's probably why the majority of people only go 5 steps, because the majority of people don't learn about transurfing, and if they do, they don't want to read it because it's 750 pages. No. This book will absolutely radically change your life if you read it and you let it and you implement. And it's not hard. It's all inner work. No one has to know. The more effectively the child assimilates the rules of behavior within the narrow limits of the material world, the lower their level of awareness falls, which leads to loss of capacity to influence the course of events and perceive the metaphysical side of reality. This is a long one, but pretty much the more obedient a child is to the pendulum, the less influence they have on the course of events of their life. The more obediently the child assimilates the worldview bestowed upon them, the more they put that into their mind and assimilate that into their mind, their worldview, the less influence they'll have on their life. So that's why most people feel like a victim. They feel like they're the victim of life. They're the victim of circumstances. They don't really know how to control their reality because they don't control their thoughts. Their worldview is exactly what it should be. Their perception of reality is exactly as it should be, according to the pendulum. This is extremely dangerous and destructive for our success. When you are daydreaming, you are not in control of the situation. You are battling with pendulums. So, daydreaming is asleep. When you're asleep, consciously not awake. When your consciousness is asleep in the day, you're basically just living life by. You're kind of just walking along life. Or not. How do I explain this? You're kind of just going through life, letting life happen to you. And when you're asleep, you're essentially you're just controlled by pendulums because you're not consciously aware of the situation. You're not consciously controlling your situation. And so you're getting controlled as a result. In order to retain your level of awareness, In order to retain your level of awareness, it is essential to keep consistent control of your thoughts. I'm so shocked that I didn't understand this simple, fundamental principle the first time I read Transurfing. I did not control my thoughts. Yeah, here and there I would change my mood. I would be more happy. But I did not control my thoughts or my attitude. So as a result, it was just a waste. It wasn't until the second time I read Transurfing when I realized, I got to start waking up. I got to start controlling my thoughts. And actually, it wasn't until the second time I read Transurfing, in the beginning, I realized, I got to start waking up, being present. And then it wasn't until like the end, literally like the last second half of the book, until I realized I have to start controlling my thoughts. This is essential. This is what Transurfing is about. When you control your thoughts, you control reality. Do you want to live a better life? Do you want to live freer, happier, healthier? Do you want your own life? Well, take control of your thoughts, and then you'll take control of your life. You have to systematically call yourself to wake up before it becomes a habit. This is essential, and it actually only takes maybe a few months because it's a habit now for me. And I basically, from probably like the beginning of summer until, probably like 3 months, it took for me to become a habit. And now I'm waking up consistently all the time. And I think that I should restart the process and systematically call myself to wake up again so I can just increase my level. But that's what it's all about. Just always call yourself to wake up. Because there's one quote that I memorized in the beginning of the book. And I didn't learn about this quote. I didn't take note of this quote until the second time I read the book. And it's, for every moment you spend practicing the transurfing technique, you are consciously moving towards your goals. So every single time you wake yourself up, remind yourself you're consciously moving towards your goals now. It is not a waste of time, energy, and it's not difficult. Just do it. And the reason why you don't want to do it is because that is exactly what the pendulum taught you to do. Pendulum instilled a grain of a lie in your mind that you don't want to wake up, that it's too much work. No, it's not. It's actually an act of freedom. An act of freedom from the pendulums. The most important transurfing principles are to reduce importance, go with the flow, and coordination. So, reducing importance is all about getting rid of that excess potential. And the excess potential blocks your flow of energy. So the way the world works is we're surrounded by infinite amounts of energy, cosmic energy. And then we let it in, and then we program it through our thoughts, and then we send it out in that new programming. So basically, another factor is when you have importance, when you place excess meaning on something, then it basically blocks. So let's say there's energy flowing through my arm right now. Intention basically eats up that energy, and it prevents it from getting into my mind. Actually, I don't even know how it works, but pretty much excess potential reduces your influence on the world, which basically means that your energy, like the strength of your energy, your thought energy, is reduced if you have excess potential. So reduce importance. That's number one. Go with the flow is number two. And going with the flow is releasing your grip of control. It's allowing variations into your script. It's just letting the world take its own course on the realization towards your goal, because the world knows the most optimal route. The world is extremely more knowledgeable than you. Like, do you even understand the world? No, the world is the world, so it's extremely more knowledgeable than you. So allow the world to take its own course on the realization towards your goal, because it will take the path of least resistance, the quickest, most effective, efficient way forward. And then the last one is coordination, balance, coordinated intention, perceive all events as positive. I don't even remember what coordination is. Like, there's a lot that is in coordination, but coordinate, like, have coordination, like, maintain your balance moving along this stream of life. God is inside of you, not somewhere outside of you. So a lot of people have feel a need to. A lot of people think that they need like a priest or some third party to communicate with God, when in reality, God is inside of you. Like, you are literally God. So use that knowledge and create your own reality, because it's your birthright. It's not something you achieve or earn. It's your birthright. Returning to self without looking around at others is the true path to God. Again, don't look for a priest. Just return to yourself. This is why I'm meditating so much. I literally have already meditated 3 sessions today, because today I recorded 2 times. Usually I only record or meditate 3 times, but today I've already meditated 3 times, and I have another one after this. So I always meditate. I'm meditating like 90 minutes a day. It's extremely beneficial. All the structure requires is hardworking, serviceable cogs for the bigger machine. Now, the structure is the pendulum. The pendulum, so I want you to look at the school system. I'm talking about the American school system. It basically just puts people through the ringer, puts people through this assembly line. 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 8th grade, 12th grade, all the way through. And it slowly but surely breaks you down to be a cog in the machine. And it teaches you to work hard, which is basically waste a lot of energy and feed the pendulum energy. Like, nature takes the path of least resistance. So hard work is not necessary. Yeah, sometimes work will be hard, but there's a difference between hard work and work that you enjoy. This is what I learned in the 10x is easier than 2x. Your work could be miserable for someone else, but since it's your unique value, since it's unique to you, and that's your unique skill, you will love it. And everyone has their own. And I'm looking to find my own. Creation is the language of God. So when you create your layer of your world, you're basically communicating with God. That's how you communicate with God. Creation. So create the layer of your world. Sorry, I keep doing that with my eyes, but create the layer of your world, and you'll communicate with God. And when you take joy in your creation, God takes joy with you. You communicate with God by shaping the layer of your world, your reality. All you have to do is shape your layer, shape your reality, and you communicate with God. I have a lot of pages left on here, And I'm already halfway done. I've only been through 2, and I have like 6. So I'll see how this goes. I might have to do another one. We'll see. When you take joy in your creation, God takes joy with you. Like I said, we always receive the things we choose. There's a scripture verse. According to your faith, be it unto you. It's basically however you perceive your place in this world is, however you see yourself as, or whatever position you see yourself as in this world, whether it's poor, upper class, middle class, that is what you will get. According to your faith, be it upon you. So if your faith is upper class, that's what you'll get. If your faith is lower class, that's what you get. And you always get the things that we choose. You always get the things you choose. And you choose through your thoughts. You choose through your actions, your attitude, your worldview. That's how you choose. There's 2 ways to impact. There's 2 ways to impact the world. Direct action and indirect action. Direct action is all about physically moving things. Physically moving things. I physically move this microphone down and then up. That's direct action. And it's instantaneous. That's why most people think this is the only way. But there's also indirect action, which comes from your thoughts. And it's not instantaneous because the world is a mirror with a delay, which is why most people don't have the patience to maintain that image for long enough time, which is why most people don't even think that this is possible. No one is holding you down except you. You're the only one holding you down. No one else has the ability to affect you. Like, you are the only person that can achieve your goal or hold you back from achieving your goal. No one else has the ability to prevent you. No one and nothing else can prevent you from achieving your goal. You're the only one stopping yourself. Literally, that's all there is to it. Literally, you make the decision to succeed or fail. That's it. It's as simple as that. As simple as that. You will not believe that you are capable of receiving everything just like that. No conditions attached, with the help of outer intention. Unless you can accept the fact of your divine essence. So he's talking about you won't believe that you can actually receive all the things that you choose through your thoughts. You won't believe all that unless you accept the fact that you are God. Like, you are literally a son of God with God inside of you. You are, like, God is literally inside of you. So every single intention you have, consider it the intention of God. There's no way you can fail after that. The higher the level of consciousness, the greater the capacity for control, which is why I'm focusing so much on the gateway experience, the gateway process, because there's focus levels, which is essentially higher levels of consciousness. And plus, the more you meditate, the more your current, like, waking reality is, the more clear it becomes, and the more amazing it becomes. And if you can increase your consciousness, your awareness, then you have greater capacity for control. You can control the course of events so much better. Which is why once you get to focus 12, it's like the second, it's like focus 10 is mind awake, body asleep. And then focus 12 is a little bit higher expanded consciousness. Once you get to that, you can manifest things. Once you get to focus 15, which is even deeper or even higher out of your body, even higher level of consciousness, awareness, there's like no perception of time in that level. You can manifest things even stronger. Like, you can manifest bigger things. And I actually did this one time. I wasn't in focus 12, but you can actually manifest things in waking life. Like, that's what transurfing is all about. Like, if you think, you can literally think things into your life. But I actually experimented with this because I don't really have that strong of a mind's eye. So I can't really create vivid images. I kind of create vague energy senses. Like I can kind of feel the energy of the image. I don't really see it. But I was able to create a X one time in my deep meditation. Now, yeah, I can kind of do it I think I've gotten a lot better at visualizing, because I can create an X. So I literally just meditated for like 45 minutes one day, and literally all I did was constantly just create an X. Like I would literally just see the two lines like go, and I would just constantly do the X. I would just make an X in my mind for 45 minutes. And I didn't really think anything of it because I was just practicing. My intention for that was to represent 2 comma club X, and this was just me being lazy with my visualization. So instead of 2 comma club X, I did an X. And as a result, literally today when I was biking to the gym, I saw a car. It was either today or yesterday, I don't remember. But I saw a car with an X, like taped with black tape. There was an X taped on the car. Like that just doesn't happen. I've never seen that in my life before. And then I visualized it, and then it happened. So that's like the second thing that I visualized that came true, and that one was way quicker. It was like literally a day. Less than a day probably. But I didn't have it. That's another thing. I didn't have any expectations. Like I didn't even realize that was going to happen. And I didn't have an expectation of how it would manifest. So that's another thing that messes things up. If you have expectations, so drop the expectations. In my being and my behavior, I strive to act in such a way that allows me to effectively control reality. And that's by worldview, mindset, mentality, thoughts. God has given every living being the freedom and power to shape their own reality in accordance with their circumstances. Oh, not circumstances, consciousness. A lot of people think that they are victim of circumstance, when in reality they can be the victor over circumstance, simply by doing one thing: thinking. If you think in such a way, you can actually shape your own reality. And that, if you missed it, is the whole point of transurfing. Shaping your reality. Everyone is given the freedom of choice, but very few make use of this privilege, which is why most people will hear about this thing called transurfing and completely blow it off, because they're part of the majority and they choose to stay in the majority, which is also a choice. Like I was part of the majority and I chose to join the 1%, which I'm still in the process of making that decision, because it's a long decision that you have to make. It takes, like right now I'm still part of the majority. But I see myself as the 1%, and eventually, inevitably, I will become part of the 1%. See how that works? Like that's just how it works. But the majority of people don't, like they reject all of these things. Yeah, let them reject it. Their loss. Their loss, not mine. Doesn't affect me. Pendulums have not only eroded man's ability to control reality with the power of thought, but have deprived him of the knowledge that such a thing is even possible. I talked about that already. When you express an intention, consider it to be God's intention. How then could you have any doubt that it will be fulfilled? I talked about that already. Do not ask, do not demand, do not struggle, just create. That one's important. So a lot of people think that if they pray and they ask for this certain thing, like, oh, can I please have this? No, that doesn't work. Don't ask. Don't demand. Don't demand. Don't say, oh, I will have this. Give me this. Like, don't demand. Don't struggle. Just create. Like, there's no point in asking God for a newspaper or a palace because both are equal to him. He's infinite. Like, he has the capability of giving you a newspaper or a palace. But he's not going to give you anything that you ask for because he gave you the greatest gift of all, the ability to create it for yourself and to choose it for yourself. So do it. Every living being creates the layer of their world with their thoughts on one hand and their direct actions on the other. I already talked about this. The environment in which a person is born plays an important role, but how their life will develop later largely depends on their attitude towards themselves and the world around them. This is actually one of my favorite quotes because it shines a lot of light. Because a lot of people think that you can't make it out of poverty or you can't get rich. When in reality, there has been plenty of people who were in poverty and they rose up to the rich. They may be outliers, but that's just because they're the 1% and the 99% don't control their thoughts. And it's true. Everyone plays the lottery when they're born. Like, everyone is randomly selected to be put into this specific spot in their life. Like, everyone gets a random position, a random starting point, whether it's poor, middle class, upper class. Maybe whether it's dead broke, absolutely no money, no community, nothing, or the richest of the richest. That's just your starting point. And then once you create your relationship, once you send your images out to the world, then that either reinforces or changes your world. And we have a tendency to be in this, our natural tendency. Sorry, there's a lot of background noise, but we have a natural tendency to be in this loop, which is all about, it's a feedback loop. So basically we look at our world and then we express our relationship to it, and then that gets bounced back into our world, and then we express our relationship to that. So it's a loop. And that's the mirror principle. And that's why the poorer get poorer and the richer get richer. Because they perceive their world, which is poor or rich, and then they react to that, poor or rich. But all you have to do is break that loop and reverse it. You first send your image out to the world, so you send rich, because obviously everyone wants to be rich, and then it sends you that image back, and you see it in reality, and then you interpret it. But you have to wait for that delay period first. Changes in lifestyle are largely determined by that person's mental outlooks. So if you were born middle class like me, then you want to change your lifestyle, right? You want to be rich. You want to be financially free. Well, all you have to do is change your mental outlooks, which is what I'm doing. And then soon my lifestyle will change. I'll become a surfer. I'll be financially free. I'll have a yacht. Like, all these things. If a person allows the innocent thought to permeate their being that the world has saved the cream for them, this too is what will become manifest. So if someone just has this thought that the world saved the best for them, then that's what will happen. There's the metaphor that he always says. Then most people go to the store. Most people go rushing to this store for one specific item, and then it's just been sold to someone else. This is the majority, and they fight for scraps. When the people who know how the world works, they believe that the world saved the best for them, so they get there just on time for a new shipment, or they get there and they simply just get it, just because that's how they perceive it. You have to run the slide in your mind systematically for a significant period of time. This is all about the mirror. The world is a mirror, but it has a delay. So you run your slide systematically. This is why I added it to my routine. I run my slide 3 times a day during meditations, because plus one time while I'm on my balancing ball. Because if I just leave it for chance, I won't end up doing it. And I know that the world is a delay. The mirror has a delay. So I have to hold that image in my mind for quite some time. So you have to hold it there for a little bit. No magic, just ordinary, everyday effort. And it really works. It is just that most people do not have the patience to follow it through. This is another one of my favorite quotes. No magic, just ordinary, everyday effort. Normal, everyday effort. Ordinary, everyday effort. People don't have the patience to follow it through. Like, it's simple. Everyone thinks every day. It's just whether you direct that thinking to the correct or towards a goal. All you have to do is just have normal effort and have patience. Like, people don't have either of those. Most people. Which is why no one knows that it's a thing. Go beyond the level of the oyster. Wake up and use the advantage that you can express your attitudes to life consciously. So the oyster sits in his shell and expresses dissatisfaction to its life around him because he can't change anything. He's just an oyster. And we're actually not much better than that. Most people sit in our shells and dissatisfaction. That's why most people are below level 150 on the map of the consciousness. They're all on those negative emotions. But we actually have the advantage. We can actually choose to consciously change. Like, we have consciousness. So we can actually change our relationship to and send it out, express it out. The first step on the path to shaping reality is having a dominant thought. My world takes care of me. The first step. Just constantly repeat the affirmation at every single circumstance that your world is taking care of you. Everything is happening as it should. Everything happens towards the realization of your goal. Just have that as a baseline of your life, baseline of your world. My world takes care of me. And never stop. One of my issues is I stopped and I forgot about it. And then every once in a while I remember, but I don't do it as much as I used to. But the world is a mirror with a delay, so you have to hold it. You can renew the layer of your world by taking control of your relationship to reality. And you do that by controlling your mind, controlling your thoughts, controlling your worldview. From this moment onwards, whatever happens, make it a rule to consciously control your attitude, consciously control your outlook on life. Do not worry. Do not worry. Show patience and self-control. So that sounds like I'm saying do not worry, patience, or self. I'm saying show patience and self-control. Do not worry. All you have to do is show patience and self-control. Self-control to control your thoughts and hold that image in your mind long enough for the delay. And then patience to hold it long enough for the delay. And don't worry about it because you can't know how the image will be reflected back. You can't know. Only the mirror knows. Repeat the amalgam at every circumstance. My world takes care of me. When you come up against something that might disappoint you, tell yourself, everything is unfolding as it should, according to the principle of coordination of intention. This should be the baseline of your worldview. Everything is happening as it should. My world takes care of me. Just constantly remind yourself that because our minds have a tendency for control. Everything that happens that our mind perceives as negative or as a variation from its own script, the mind treats with hostility. So consciously control that relationship and change it. Your reaction must be unwavering. The world is always looking after you, no matter what. No matter what. No matter what happens, you always need to control your attitude. Because think about it, there's no point in saying, oh, the world doesn't take care of me. There's no benefit. So you might as well say the world takes care of me. Because there is benefit to that. Whereas on the former, it's only negative results. Remember that you are standing in front of a mirror. All the mirror does is reflect your mental outlooks. No more, no less. All the mirror does is reflect your mind. It basically copies your mind onto your world over time. That's it. Which is why you guys see that. Which is why you guys now understand why I'm focusing on this so much. Worldview is everything. Your mental outlook, your mindset, your attitude, like all your thoughts are the most important thing, part of your life, I think. Leave room for mistakes and setbacks. Allow yourself to make mistakes because you're human. Remember that rule, or remember that principle. You're just human. You will make mistakes. You're not perfect. So just allow mistakes to happen and leave room for setbacks. Everything that happens contributes towards the realization of my intention, and everything happens as it should. That's the principle of coordinating intention. You control reality by controlling your relationship to the world. As you guys can see, there's a lot of repeating phrases. Because there's one thing that I realized when I was reading Meditations. I didn't read the whole book, but I read the intro, and I was reading this one translation where the person wrote down a bunch of kind of like context and said us some stuff. He said that Marcus Aurelius basically wrote down a lot of things in repetition, and it's because he got the mental reps. And that was the first time I became aware of the concept of mental reps, where you read something multiple times in a row, or you say something or multiple times in a row, it gets like ingrained into your mind, which is why I think that transurfing has so many repetitions and so many repeated phrases to get the mental reps, which is why I think it's so effective to read it multiple times, because you get even more mental reps. Each person creates the individual layer of their world, their reality, with their mental outlook. Again, more mental reps. What is important is what you're thinking about. More mental reps. We live in the manner in which we think about our existence. There's so much going on with our mindset, our worldview, our attitude. Like, all of this stuff is about our minds. It's literally everything said in transurfing stems from the simple fact that our mental outlook determines our life. You can change everything, and you can change it radically. If you're in a ditch, or if you're in like an extremely low point in your life, you can change it radically, which is extremely like inspiring to hear, because I'm not in a low point. I'm just in a normal position for someone my age in my town, and I want to change it radically. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm going so deep into this stuff. Because I want to change it radically. I want to live the life that I want to live. Because I want to. You don't need to justify wants. Live based off of want, not need. We are all subconsciously walking in a closed circle. We observe reality. We express our attitude towards it. The mirror consolidates the content of our attitude in reality. In order to transform reality, all we have to do is break the circle. I already talked about that. That's the feedback loop that most people are living in. Everyone's living in it. All you have to do is break it and reverse it. That's it. In other words, to take control of your thoughts. I like that phrase so much. In other words, take control of your thoughts. Take control of your thoughts. Take control of your thoughts. All you have to do is take control of your thoughts. Like, that's it. That's the difference. That's what they're doing, and that's what we're not doing. So let's start doing that. Think about what you want and are striving for to achieve rather than the things you do not want or try to avoid. We already talked about this. The purified content of an attitude is what is materialized as physical reality. So basically, the content of an attitude, like I said, the spiders. If you say, I hate spiders, the content would be spiders and the nature would be hate. So the world materializes the content, not the nature. So you can either love spiders or you can hate spiders. Either way, if you're thinking about loving or hating spiders, it will manifest the content, which is spiders. Either way, it doesn't matter. It'll manifest spiders either way. You can love or hate spiders and still not think about it. Like, you can hate something and still not think about it. Like, there's plenty of things that I don't like. You can not like things and it's not happen. Like, there's a lot of things I don't like. I just don't think about them and they don't come into my life. A favorable reality will not be created instantly. It requires patience and awareness. Patience and awareness. The world is a mirror and it has a delay. Patience and awareness. Wake up. Be aware. The higher level of your awareness, the more your capacity, the higher your capacity for change. So, be aware, have patience, control your thoughts for a long enough time, and you control reality. And you'll create a favorable reality. Not instantly, but you will. Now you no longer react to the reality of your life. You take command and deliberately send your chosen thought forms into the world. That's the new thing. That's all you have to do. Instead of reacting to reality, you just send your image out deliberately. Send the image you want out deliberately. That's it. You just reverse the circle. Send your image first, and then allow it to manifest. Send your image first. Send your thought energy first. Don't react to the world. Be prepared for there to be a period of time in which you do not notice any change in the layer of your world. That's because there's a delay. All of this stuff stems from one thing. The world is a mirror, has a delay, and the mirror reflects your mental outlook onto physical reality. That's it. Again, all of this stuff is from Transurfing. And I've read it twice now, and I actually haven't read it in a couple weeks. Like, the last time I read the book, because I finished it a couple weeks ago. So I haven't read it in 2 weeks. But I've still been, like, writing my notes. Like, I filled up this entire notebook. It's an extremely long notebook. And that's, like, it's almost full. It's basically, like, I'd say 80% full. You can see if you're on YouTube, you can see this small portion is what's not completed. All of this top stuff I wrote in. And that's just from the second read through. That's it. And this is, like, these are the mental reps. You read something, you write it, and then you reread it in here and rewrite it. You just constantly just read, like there's so much notes here. That's how you affect your worldview, because we are taught our specific worldview by pendulums. And the way you change it, I really believe the way you change it is by cleansing your mind through meditation and then putting in the right stuff by reading the right books. Transurfing is one of them. So this is why I'm going deep into reading. I spend a lot of time reading, and I spend a lot of time meditating. Like, I keep on thinking to myself there's not enough time in my day, because literally all I do is read, meditate, record, gym, eat, sleep. That's it. That's all I do. But you got to do what you got to do to be successful. And I want to live the life that I want to live. So put in that work. And I don't even think it's work. I love doing it. But that's it. To wrap things up, don't forget to download your favorite episodes and subscribe to the Ascend Momentum Show. But before you guys leave, make sure to look up at the sky.